Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we cut through the noise to bring you the insights that truly inform. Today, we're plunging into an industry that touches nearly everyone, every single day, the global grain processed food market. Think about it, from your breakfast cereal to that quick afternoon snack. These foods are, well, they're a constant in our lives, right? But their market dynamics are far more intricate than you might imagine. Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving deep into some fascinating data from cognitive market research. Specifically, it's their Global Grain Processed Food Market 2021-2033 Insights Report. Our mission for you, our listener, is to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge from these detailed figures. We want to give you a shortcut, really, to being well informed about a surprisingly dynamic global industry. We'll reveal not just what is growing, but maybe more importantly, why and what it truly means.
Absolutely. And what's truly fascinating here is how these market numbers, when you look beyond the digits, they tell a compelling story. A story about major global economic shifts and evolving consumer trends. It's really a window into how populations are changing, what convenience looks like in different cultures, and where the economic momentum is truly building worldwide. We'll be talking quite a bit about compound annual growth rate, or KAGR, which basically just shows the average annual growth over a set period. Now, for a market this big, a KER of around, say, 405% indicates healthy, steady expansion, especially in established regions. But when you start seeing numbers climb above 6% or even higher, well, that's where things get really interesting. It signals rapid acceleration in emerging economies.
That's a great frame for our discussion. So let's start at the highest level then, globally. Just how significant is this grain processed food market? What kind of trajectory is it on? Are we looking at steady, kind of predictable growth, or is it something more dramatic? It's definitely on a robust expansion path, very consistent growth. The report indicates that global sales revenue back in 2021 was around $181.7 million USD. This grew to approximately $221.4 million in 2025. And looking ahead, it's projected to reach a substantial $328.6 million by 2033. Now, this reflects an overall compound annual growth rate of about 5.06% for the entire global market. So as you just mentioned, that's a solid, steady rate for such a massive and, frankly, established industry. It shows consistent value addition year over year. It's a foundational market that just keeps building.
Okay, a steady incline on a global scale. That makes sense. Now let's zoom in a bit. Starting close to home for many of our listeners, North America, what do these numbers tell us about the grain processed food market there? Is it keeping pace with that global average, or are there, nuances we should be aware of? Right. North America shows very consistent mature growth, definitely. But it's at a slightly more moderate pace than that global average we just talked about. The market was sitting around $52.3 million in 2021. It's growing to about $63.2 million in 2025, and the forecast, nearly $90 million by 2033. So the regional CGR there stands at about 4.46%. It's a solid rate, absolutely, but just a bit below that 5% global figure you see. This suggests a market that's, well, it's well established, still expanding, sure, but perhaps not seeing the same kind of explosive new adoption we might find elsewhere.
Okay, 4.46%. And here's where it gets really compelling, I think. While the region as a whole shows moderate growth, how do the individual countries within North America contribute? Do they all move at the same speed, or are there some regional accelerators or decelerators even?
Oh, we certainly see different speeds. And that tells us a lot about market maturity, doesn't it? The United States, as you'd probably expect, remains the largest market within the region. No surprise there. It reported around $42.6 million in 2021, and it's expected to reach about $71.7 million by 2033. But its key AGR is actually the lowest in the region at 4.24%. So it's a giant, yes, but its growth is, well, steady. Interestingly, though, Canada shows stronger growth. It's projected to hit over $12.2 million by 2033, with a notably higher CAGR of 5.52%.
Okay, so Canada's moving a bit faster.
Exactly, and Mexico too, actually. It also shows solid growth, expected to reach around $5.8 million by 2033, with an AGR of 5.06%, right on the global average, basically.
So what's fascinating there is that while the U.S. is the powerhouse in sheer volume,
Right.
Canada and Mexico are actually outpacing it in terms of growth rate. Precisely. And this hints at several dynamics. In Canada, perhaps we're seeing a market that's maybe less saturated in certain niches, maybe more open to newer processed grain subcategories like plant-based alternatives or those premium artisanal breads you see everywhere now. And for Mexico, its strong growth could well be driven by that rapid urbanization we see globally, plus the expansion of modern retail channels. It just makes these convenient foods more accessible to a growing middle class who might be increasingly adopting more, let's say, westernized dietary habits and definitely seeking time-saving food options.
That makes a lot of sense. It's a great example of how the numbers really reveal differing market maturity and those underlying consumer trends.
Okay, let's hop across the Atlantic. Europe presents a truly diverse economic landscape. What's the story for grain-processed foods there? Is it mirroring North America's moderate expansion, or are there different trends at play, given all its varied economies?
Europe's market trajectory is, well, it's quite similar to North America's, actually. It also shows those diverse speeds of expansion within the region. The overall European market was around $34.1 million in 2021, growing to about $41.3 million in 2025. And it's expected to reach approximately $59.1 million by 2033. Its regional CGR is about 4.57%. So again, quite comparable to North America's and just slightly below that global average.
Okay, similar overall picture, but within Europe, I imagine we see quite a range of individual country performances, don't we? Are there any standout examples that really illustrate this diversity, both in terms of maybe slower and faster growth and what might be driving those differences?
Absolutely. It's quite varied. You have mature markets like the United Kingdom and Germany. They show CGRs of, let's see, 3.69% and 3.96% respectively. These are huge established markets, right? So their growth is more about subtle shifts, perhaps towards premium products or specific health trends within processed foods, organic, gluten-free, that sort of thing. But then you have countries like France, which is notably stronger at 5.31% CGR.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Italy too at 4.97%. These higher rates might reflect, evolving consumer demand for convenience, maybe a market that's just more receptive to new product introductions. What's also telling is that some countries like Denmark and Sweden are on the lower end. Their ski GRs are 2.2% and 2.84%.
Quite low, comparatively.
Very low. This could be due to a strong cultural preference, perhaps, for fresh, less processed foods, or maybe just very mature markets where most consumers who want processed grains already consume them. Saturation, maybe. But the real story here, I think, is the rest of Europe category.
Ah, the catch-all.
Exactly. And it shows the highest growth in the region with an impressive CAGR of nearly 6%, 5.985 to be precise.
Okay, that is interesting.
It really suggests dynamic activity, maybe emerging opportunities in smaller or less saturated markets. Countries quickly catching up to their larger neighbors, perhaps driven by similar factors we discussed in Mexico, increasing disposable income, a shift toward convenience as lifestyles change.
That rest of Europe figure really is fascinating. It shows growth happening in perhaps less expected places, highlighting those micro-level shifts within the larger region.
Okay, now let's turn to Asia Pacific. This is a region that, well, it often dominates conversations about global economic expansion. How does it stand in the grain processed food market? I'm betting we're looking at a different kind of growth here, likely much more accelerated, right?
You'd be absolutely right. Asia Pacific truly is a powerhouse of growth in this sector, significantly outpacing both North America and Europe. Back in 2021, the market there was worth about $72.5 million. It surged to nearly $88.8 million in 2025, and it's projected to reach an impressive $135.6 million by 2033. Its regional CAGR is about 5.44%, so notably above the global average, a real engine of growth.
Okay, 5.44%. And what stands out here in terms of specific countries or maybe subregions driving this significant growth? Are there a few key players really pushing this forward? And what are the underlying reasons for such rapid expansion? Absolutely. Well, China remains the largest market in the region, no question. Projected to reach over $39 million by 2033 with a strong AGR of 5.01%. Still very solid. Japan also contributes significantly. Its CAGR is 4.99%, very close to China's. But the real standout performer, as you anticipated, is India.
India, right.
It started at around $10.7 million in 2021 and is forecast to more than double to over $21.3 million by 2033. That boasts the region's highest KIR of 6.19%.
6.19%, that's significant acceleration.
It really is. And Singapore is also showing robust growth, nearly 6% CAGR as well. Southeast Asia as a subregion is also strong at 5.79%. These impressive numbers, they really reflect the region's increasing consumption power. It's driven by massive, rapidly developing populations. And it isn't just about more people, it's about that rapidly growing middle class, particularly in urban areas, seeking convenience.
Hmm.
Think about the rise of, ready-to-eat breakfasts. Instant noodles are huge, packaged snacks. These fit perfectly into the busy, modernizing lifestyles becoming common across these regions. Traditional cooking methods are often giving way to speed and accessibility. India, for instance, is seeing a huge demographic dividend, a young, urbanizing population that's just more open to new food products and brands entering the market.
Incredible numbers from Asia Pacific, and especially that Indian acceleration really paints a picture.
Yeah.
Okay, shifting south now. What kind of growth story does South America tell us about the grain processed food market? Is it following Asia Pacific's lead in terms of rapid expansion, or are we looking at a unique set of market conditions there?
Yes, South America is another rapidly emerging strength, and actually showing growth that's even higher than Asia Pacific's overall rate. The market here was valued at around $12.1 million in 2021, grew to $15 million, roughly, in 2025, and it's projected to reach over $24 million by 2033. This translates to a regional CGR of 6.03%, making it a very, very dynamic region indeed.
Wow, over 6%. So this is a region truly accelerating its pace, isn't it? Which countries are leading that charge and pushing these impressive numbers, and what might be the drivers behind such a significant shift there?
Well, Brazil is a significant player, definitely. Projected to reach over $7.4 million by 2033, with a solid CGR of 5.67%. However, Argentina actually recorded the region's highest CGR, a striking 6.57%.
Argentina, interesting.
Yeah, moving from around $1.6 million in 2021 to over $3.3 million projected by 2033. Colombia is also strong, 5.49% CAGR. Peru, Chile, also above 5%. And the rest of South America category is also very strong at nearly 6.4% CAGR. Argentina's impressive growth, alongside the region's overall strong performance, it's directly connected to its dynamic, developing economies and those evolving consumer habits we keep seeing. We're seeing increasing disposable incomes, yes, but also the challenges of busy urban lifestyles, creating demand for convenient, affordable, readily available food options. These processed grain products, packaged bread, cereals, pasta, you name it, they offer solutions for quick meals or snacks, in a way the traditional, often more time-consuming preparations might not. It's a very active period of consumer adaptation in these markets.
Fascinating to see Argentina leading the way there. It really shows how quickly consumer needs can evolve in these developing economies. All right, let's move to the Middle East. How does this region fit into the global picture for grain processed foods? Are we seeing another high growth area or maybe something more tempered given its unique demographics and cultural influences?
The Middle East shows steady growth, yes, but definitely more moderate compared to South America and Asia Pacific. The market here was worth about $7 million just over in 2021, $8.4 million in 2025, and it's expected to reach around $11.1 million by 2033. The regional CGR comes in at 3.68%, which is actually the lowest regional CGR we've discussed so far, puts it more in line with the mature markets like North America and Europe.
Okay, 3.68%. So we definitely see growth, but it appears more measured, as you say.
hmm
What are the key dynamics within this market? Are there any countries showing a bit more acceleration, perhaps? Or maybe specific factors dampening growth compared to other regions?
Well, Saudi Arabia is the largest market, projected to reach over $4.1 million by 2033, but with a CGR of 3.41%, so below the regional average even. Turkey contributes with a 3.17% CAGR. The UAE stands out a bit. It shows the highest regional CGR at 4.84%, so closer to the global average, indicating maybe a stronger push for market penetration or consumer adoption there.
Okay. The UAE is a bit of an exception then.
A relative exception, yes. Egypt is also noteworthy at 4.25%. Qatar is quite low at 3.17%. This overall moderate growth, even within stronger performers like the UAE, it suggests a market where perhaps cultural dietary preferences play a larger role, often leaning towards fresh and traditional foods. So while there's certainly demand for convenience, driven by modernization, maybe a growing expat population in some areas, it's perhaps not experiencing the same fundamental shift away from traditional cooking that we see so strongly in parts of Asia or, as we'll see, Africa. Also, reliance on food imports in some areas could influence pricing and availability, maybe leading to a more gradual expansion.
That makes sense, the cultural aspect. Okay, now for something truly exciting and maybe a surprise for some of you listening. Our source material points to one region as the undisputed fastest growing market globally. Which region is that, and just how explosive is its growth?
The undisputed global growth leader is Africa.
Africa.
Yes. It recorded around $3.4, maybe $3.5 million in 2021, increased to about $4.6 million in 2025, and it is projected to nearly triple in value to over $8.9 million by 2033. That translates to an impressive TGR of 8.78%, the highest overall regional KGR globally by quite a margin.
Wow, 8.78% CHR, nearly tripling in just over a decade. That is truly explosive. Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Can you break down the incredible individual contributions to this growth for us? Which specific countries are driving this remarkable acceleration? And what factors are fueling such a rapid transformation? This is amazing.
The growth across Africa is, well, it's truly remarkable. Nigeria, for instance, grew from about $C.66 million in 2021 to a projected $1.65 million in 2033. That's a strong CAGR of 8.44%. South Africa, similarly, went from $1.12 million in 2021 to over $2.8 million projected for 2033. Its CAGR is 8.41%. Very strong, consistent growth there, too. But the real powerhouse here, again, is that rest of Africa category.
Again, the rest of category leading the charge.
Exactly. This segment shows the highest global growth rate we've seen anywhere. Started at $1.67 million in 2021 and soaring to a remarkable $4.46 million projected by 2033. That's at an astounding CAGR of 9.14%.
Over 9%. Just incredible.
It really is. And this kind of explosive growth, it's indicative of a profound shift. Changes in consumer patterns, economic development. We're talking about massive demographic changes, particularly that rapid urbanization happening across the continent. As more people move to cities, their access maybe to traditional fresh ingredients might diminish, right?
Right.
And their need for convenient, accessible, and affordable food solutions just skyrockets. We also see a burgeoning young population embracing new lifestyles, new consumption habits, often driven by increasing disposable incomes and, crucially, the expansion of modern retail and supply chains reaching more people. So processed grain foods, think bread, biscuits, instant cereals, they provide a practical, often economical solution for busy urban households. It really raises an important question, though. What fundamental changes in infrastructure and consumer access are actually enabling this kind of demand and expansion in these African markets? It's a huge transformation.
That's an incredible insight, and it really highlights the transformative power of these underlying economic shifts. So, okay, what does this all mean when we put it all together? We've seen some very clear patterns emerge across these diverse regions, from the stable giants to the rapidly accelerating new players. What's the big takeaway for us when we connect all these dots?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, I think it highlights a fundamental global economic shift and a very clear distinction between market types based on this data. We have what we can call the mature markets. That encompasses regions like North America, Europe, and based on its growth rate, the Middle East fits here too. These are characterized by consistent, yes, but more moderate growth. KJR is typically hovering in that, say, 3.5 to 4.5% range. Think of the U.S. at 4.24% or the UK at 3.69%. Here, the growth isn't so much about new market entry. It's more about innovation within the market, premiumization, niche trends like organic, gluten-free, maybe fortified processed grain products, meeting those evolving health-conscious demands.
You're right, refining the existing market.
Exactly. Then we have the emerging economies. That's regions like Asia-Pacific, South America, and especially Africa. These are demonstrating strong momentum, exceptional growth rates, KGRs ranging from, 5.4% up to that incredible 8.78% overall for Africa. You look at India's 6.19%, Argentina's 6.57%, and Africa's overall 8.78%, with the rest of Africa hitting over 9%. These are prime examples. And this isn't just a number, right? It truly underscores how increasing populations, rapid urbanization, and those evolving consumer preferences in developing regions are fueling the demand. Demand for convenient, accessible, and often more basic processed grain foods on a massive scale. It's really a testament to rapid global development, changing lifestyles, and the widespread appeal of convenience.
That's a fantastic synthesis. So as you can see, taking this deep dive into market numbers goes far beyond just data points. It offers us a fascinating window into broader global economic trends, consumer behavior shifts. It truly reveals a dynamic acceleration driven by emerging economies, beautifully contrasting with the more measured growth in established regions.
And it really raises an important question, I think, for you to consider. As these emerging markets continue to drive global growth in processed foods at such a rapid pace, what might be the long-term implications for local agricultural practices, for public health initiatives, and even for global food sustainability? It's a really complex interplay of economics, culture, health, and environmental impact that will, it will certainly continue to evolve.
Definitely a lot to think about, as always. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive, and remember to keep that curiosity burning.